Cephalopods, which include squids and octopuses, vary enormously in size. The smallest are only about 1 centimetre (0.39 inches) long and weigh less than 1 gram, or 0.035 ounces. At maturity, whilst the largest, the giant and colossal squids can exceed 10 meters, or 33 feet, in length and weigh close to half a ton, or 1,100 pounds, making them the largest living invertebrates. Living species range in mass more than 3 billion-fold, or across 9 orders of magnitude, from the lightest hatchlings to the heaviest adults. Certain cephalopod species are also noted for having individual body parts of exceptional size. The giant squid and colossal squids, for example, have the largest known eyes along living animals. The giant squid was for a long time thought to be the largest extant cephalopod. It is now known that the colossal squid attains an even greater maximum size. The giant squid, seen here, measured 3.24 meters, or 30.3 feet, in total length, and had a mantle length of 1.79 meters, or 5.9 feet. Cephalopods were at one time the largest of all organisms. What did I get up to? Numerous species of comparable size to the largest present-day squids are known from the fossil record, including enormous examples of ammonoids, belemnoids, noctiloids, orthoceratoids, tuathids, and vampiromorphids. Just gonna pretend I pronounced all of those correctly. In terms of mass, the largest of all known cephalopods were likely the giant-shelled ammoids and endocerid nautiloids, or perhaps still second to the largest living cephalopods when considering tissue mass alone. Giant cephalopods have fascinated humankind since time immemorial. The earliest surviving records are perhaps those of Aristotle and Pliny the Elder, both of whom described squids of very large size. Tales of the ancient squid have been common among mariners since ancient times, and may have inspired the monstrous kraken, or Nordic legend, said to be as large as an island and capable of engulfing and sinking a ship. Similar tentacled sea monsters are known from other parts of the globe, including the Akuramakui of Japan, and I'm about to sneeze, and having to do like 3 things at once. And the Tewakeamutarangi of New Zealand, the Lusca of the Caribbean, and Scylla in Greek mythology may also derive from giant squid sightings, as might eyewitness accounts of other sea monsters such as sea serpents. Size, and particularly maximum size. We lost a battalion. Size, and particularly maximum size, continues to be one of the more interesting aspects of cephalopod science to both the general public and researchers in the field. This is evidenced by regular coverage given to the giant squid and more recently the colossal squid in both the popular press and academic literature. Where am I being shot from? Am I being shot from the sky? No, shit. Due to its status as a charismatic megafaunal species, the giant squid has been proposed as an emblematic animal for marine invertebrate conservation. Life-size models of the giant squid are a common sight in natural history museums around the world, and preserved specimens are much sought after for display. Cephalopods, vastly larger than any other giant or colossal squid, have been postulated. What did I get up to? Postulated at various times. Perhaps the most notable of these is the so-called St. Augustine monster, a large carcass weighing several tons that washed upon the United States coast near St. Augustine, Florida, in 1896. Zoologists Addison Emery Verrill of Yale. What did I get up to? At the time, the country's foremost authority on cephalopods was initially convinced that it represented the previous unknown species of gigantic octopus, and even proposed for its scientific name, Octopus giganteus. Very creative. However, having received tissue samples, he quickly retracted his original opinion. Identifying it instead as the remains of a whale. Nevertheless, the possible existence of such gargantuan octopus was taken seriously well into the 20th century, into a reanalysis in 1995 and 2004. To the original tissue samples, together with those of small carcasses, showed conclusively that there were masses of the collagenous matrix of whale blubber. Cephalopods of enormous size have featured predominantly in fiction. Some of the best-known examples include the giant squid from Jules Verne's 1870 novel 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and various film adaptations. The giant octopus from the 1955 monster movie It Came From Beneath the Sea, and the giant squid from Peter Benchley's 1991 novel Beast, and the TV adaptation of the same name. Size in Teuthology. Mantle length, ml, is the standard size measure for coeloid cephalopods, shell diameter being more common for nautiluses and is almost universally reported in the scientific literature. The mantle is the cephalopod's body. Lying posterior to the head and enclosed the visceral mass and mantle of its mantle cavity, the latter being used for locomotion by jet propulsion. Unless otherwise indicated, mantle length is measured dorsally over the midline of the mantle, sometimes specified as dorsal mantle length. Probably shouldn't be recording this when I have a mucusy nose, but whatever. It is a straight line measurement, not measured over the curve of the body, in decapodiforms, 10-limbed cephalopods. Mantle length is measured from the anterior edge of the mantle near the head to the posterior end of the mantle, or the apex of the united fins, whichever is longer. In octopodiformes, 8-limbed cephalopods, the anterior edge of the mantle is not clearly delimited dorsally due to advanced head-mantle fusion, and mantle length is therefore taken from the midpoint between the eye and the posterior end of the mantle. Ventral mantle length is meant instead of dorsal. This is always specified as such and abbreviated VML. I need to scroll down. As an indication of overall size, mantle length is generally considered more reliable than total length because cephalopod limbs may be easily stretched beyond their natural length and are often damaged or missing in preserved specimens. Okay, I guess that makes sense. This is particularly true of the long tentacles of many squid species. Nevertheless, mantle length is not equally acceptable in all species. Certain benthelic octopuses, such as Callistrocoptus ornatus, are able to elongate and retract their mantles and therefore mantle length measurements, even when taken from a live specimen, may vary considerably. Another problematic case is that of the gelatinous Cereophidius, whose weak muscular mantles weak muscular mantles are prone to whose weakly muscled mantles are prone to substantial shrinkage during preservation. The interocular distance may be more reliable standard for this group. Total length, or TL, is measured along the dorsal midline with the limbs outstretched and in line with the body axis. It is the greatest measurable extent of the specimen from the posterior end of the mantle, or fins, or tail, if present, to the apex of the longest limb. It is recommended that the arms and tentacles be measured in a relaxed state so as not to exaggerate their length, but historically this practice was not always followed, and some of the more extreme published giant squid measurements have been attributed to artificially lengthening the tentacles. Though total length is often mentioned in relation to the largest cephalopod species, it is otherwise seldom used in tephology. As with mantle length, it is a straight line measure. Total length is not to be confused with an arm span, also known as an arm spread, radial span, or radial spread, which may be much larger and is often reported for octopuses, for which the arms usually constitute the vast majority of the length. In squids, total length is inclusive of the feeding tentacles, which in some species may be longer than the mantle. Head and arms combined, such as Asperotiphus, I cannot pronounce that. Being prime example. A related measure is standard length, which is combined length of the mantle, head, and arms, excluding the often long feeding tentacles. The measure is practically useful for species such as giant squid, where almost the entire bulk of the animal takes up less than half of its total length. Mass, often abbreviated WT for weight, is reported far less frequently than either mantle or total length, and accurate records do not exist for all of the large cephalopod species. It it can also vary widely depending on the state of the specimen at the time of the weighing. For example, whether it is measured live, dead, wet or dry, frozen or thawed, pre or post fixation, or without legs, or without egg mass, and so on. God damn it. Methods of size determination. In contrast to the vast majority of living cephalopods, which are wholly soft bodies, size determination of few of the surviving shell species in terms of shell diameter is comparatively straightforward. And can be accomplished with a high level of precision. Whatever the type of cephalopod, in the absence of whole specimen size, can often be estimated from only partial remains. For example, cephalopod beaks can be used for mantle length, total length, and body mass estimations. And this method is noticeably being used to estimate the maximum size of the colossal squid. The lower rostral length, or LRL, of the beak is often used for this purpose. Oh god. The rostral length of the lower and upper beaks of the standard measure beak size in Decampodiformis, hood length is preferred for Octopodiformis. Oh nice, we captured this. Mantle length has been estimated for video recordings. Early life stages. Hatchlings. Hatchlings of Idiosepsis Ficalidus, possibly the smallest extant cephalopod species in maturity, have a mantle length of around 1 millimeter, 0.39 inches, or 0.039 inches rather. The closely related Idiosepius I guess I don't need to continue reading about cephalopod sizes then.